Hey everybody, and welcome back to Christopher Garza Real Estate News. A lot of things are happening in the mobile home slash manufactured home community world. There's a bill right now that's sitting on the governor's desk, which we'll get into later, uh, that kind of goes over some big changes in Washington, at least, as far as what happens with the landowners whenever they decide to sell their actual community. So before we get too much into that, if you wouldn't mind smashing that subscribe button and throwing a like up there, really does help the algorithm. And if you wouldn't mind sharing it as well, just get this out to people that could really gain from any kind of value from this information. So uh, first thing we're going to talk about here, it's a article from KUOW, which is a local uh, nonprofit. It's independent newsroom, and they were talking about back in September of 2023 how investors drive up rents in mobile home communities, squeezing out certain residents. So it's a great read. Definitely, advise you to go and read it. Maybe even watch the video or listen to that recording up there. I'm sorry, and it gets down here and it really tells you what kind of an impact they have when they come in. So originally residents were paying 400 a month, and after Hearst and Son acquired them, it raised the rents up to 635, and it also started charging for utilities, which I believe was one of the only ones in that kind of area that were doing that. And so what we're going to talk about later today, and the stats I'm going to show you aren't for mobile homes, but it is super interesting, and I thought it was a great topic to really put out there and talk about. So these stats right here are going to be just residential, so strictly residential here. New listings that we're seeing in these past 7 days are, we have 66 new listings, and then that's almost 1.5 listings coming off the market for every listing going on. You see 87 listings pending at the moment. So 66 new listings, and then we're having 87 pending at the moment. And then kind of another number here is the listing price reduced again, seeing 32, which when you have 66 homes coming on, and then you see a number like 32 with the price reduced, uh, interest rates are really affecting what people are seeing in the value of certain homes when compared to other homes that they might be viewing at that time. So even though there is limited inventory, these buyers have to be smart, and they are super smart when they see, what they perceive as value in certain homes. So, and again, if you have some sort of emotional attachment, that equals zero as far as value goes, in a buyer's eyes. So you really have to hit that mark, or else you're going to be kind of climbing an uphill battle after that, and all you can really do is lower the price, or kind of just hope for the best if you don't have great marketing. So with these interest rates and what we're seeing right now, 6.96, which last week it was up above the sevens a little bit, and yesterday it was right about 7.1, I believe, or 6.98, and then 7.1 was the day prior to that. So it's been going down slightly the past couple days. You see from right here, March 18th, it says it was at 7.05, and now right now it's below 7 and 6.96, which you'll see a lot more activity when it's under 6.8, and that's a lot of economists say that that's when you see a lot more movement within the mortgage rate industry. And so with this bill that we were talking about earlier, and that news article actually talks about at the end of it here, which we'll go back to, that there is a co-op model, that which it gives a couple models as far as within the actual written language if you really want to investigate a little bit more. But it does talk about how there's legislator that would require landlords to notify if a community is tenanted, is about to go on the market. And so read into this a little bit and looked at what was going on. And this is from Washington State legislator, which I'll put a link below in the description with all this information that you can look through yourself if you really wanted to kind of go through and browse. But it's the bill itself is almost a what you see here, past the House, Senate, past the Senate, but the bill itself is almost a right of first refusal in a way for the community in itself. So without getting too much into it, and it does really go into it with legal terms, and really just designates all this kind of what the verbiage is on everything. But you from what this bill says here, which you can see all the dates that it had passed in 49 nays, 96 yays. But what it's basically saying is that a community can get together, and which if you pass this right here, boom, it'll bring you into here. If a community wants to get together, they can, after being notified by the landlord that they're about to sell, they can, after a certain amount of time, say form a committee within the majority. It has to be the majority of them. It can't be just kind of a small little bit. And the actual landlord has to actually inform everybody that's living there, and it can't just be somebody that's it says what a transient is, which is somebody that just might be living there from month to month, and that wouldn't be considered somebody to notify. It would have to be the actual person that owns that unit. So without going through this entire thing, I highlighted a couple things, but not going to go too much into it. But again, it really just tells you what the eligible organizations are that can do it. To simplify it, to oversimplify it, it's the community itself can form a co-op style and bring the money together, and then have that money, and it has to stay as a, right here it says preservation of the manufactured mobile home community. It has to stay as somebody can't really be profiting off of that. It has to go back into the community in a type of way. And or you can get somebody, an outside nonprofit, that can help out as well. Now, the possibilities of all that happening within the allotted time frame, I don't know if that's really possible unless you have a really tight knit community that can democratically, which this does really turn into. At the end of the day, you have to elect somebody as a representative, or a body as a representative group, uh, to speak within and then act upon and negotiate all that with other professionals as well. But all this goes really deep into it and gives all the time frames, and really talks about it if you're interested in this. But what this means is a community is no longer just going to be sold off to, or it's not as possible, and they're probably going to be, which they're talking about, and there's more bills, but the time frames in which people's rent are going to be increased is going to change as well, and the notification given to that. But what this is going to do is it's going to notify them that, hey, we're selling, we're going to sell within X amount of days, that this, whether this is passed or not, or whether it changes or not, X amount of days, which I believe is 14 right now, before they can actually go on market, or market it at all. They have to notify everybody 14 days prior to that first day. From what I read in the language. Again, don't quote me on that. This isn't passed yet, and there is a lot of language in here. So the tenants will have to be notified, and it'll give them a little bit of time to say, you know what, maybe we could do something, because we don't want our rents raised. We don't want to be priced out, or maybe we love our community enough. We don't want this to happen to it. I think this could happen. Or it gives them kind of an idea of, okay, well, this person's going to come in. Are they going to raise rents? Or is all this going to happen? It'll give them an expectation of something that could possibly happen prior, rather than it just kind of blindsiding them, due to somebody that decided to sell, and then the investors wanting to do their business aspect part of it. So if you wouldn't mind, again, smashing that subscribe button, and if you did get a little bit out of this content, feel free to hit that like button, and let me know in the comments. Have a